Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Precise Point, the podcast that delves into issues surrounding business, the economy, and everything in general. My name is Gabriel Untoka. Welcome once again. Today, we are looking at a very, very topical issue, and that's education. We are looking especially at how the Nigerian education system can be improved upon and how it can also ensure that the system makes or qualifies young people who are go through it to ensure they become reputable graduates, not just reputable graduates, but also very useful to the corporate work system. And with me to dissect all these issues, I have a very distinguished guest with me, Professor Tunde Ope Davis, who is the head of Digital Humanities Center of the University of Lagos. Hello, Prof. It's nice to have you here.
Thank you, Gabriel. Nice to be here.
Yeah. So
nice to be here.
Yeah, very good. At least so just buyers notes. I also went to University of Lagos. So yeah, we also want to familiarize.
Great Akokite. Okay, that's good. Thank you.
So just before we begin the conversation, I'd just like to understand what the Center for Digital Humanities, because you are saying there's humanities on it. Everyone knows humanities is hard. You're not adding digital.
How come?
So how come? Exactly.
How come that you don't have digital?
So what is it about? Can you just enlighten us about it?
Thank you, Gabriel. Thank you, viewers. Actually, we all know that the days in which we live are days where ICT and technology, has taken over practically everything. There's nothing you can do without deploying or using some of these tools. Okay. So basically, when we talk about digital humanities, we are talking about the application of ICT or computer science methods and digital tools to what we do in the humanities: research, teaching, and a host of other things. And of course, you know that we have a lot of, in fact, practically every day, you have new technology coming in. So now we found a very good tools that we can now apply to make what we do quite easy, faster, and to achieve a lot. So we're more productive. We can achieve more impact. We can actually produce, results, research outcomes that can actually benefit society now through technology that we use now.
And this is just very apt, and I think those have been said this. So this now even puts into context what we are going to discuss further when we are talking about reforming the education sector. So that's nice. Thank you very much for that elucidation about it. So let's just dive into the conversation. So first of all, we are talking about education system. Before you even go further, I want to know what's our education system like. So some people are confused. We're having do we have a 6334 system? Do we have a 934 system? So what is basically our education system about? And then maybe you can, to help our viewers understand better, especially those who may be watching and saying they want to understand how it is. Who are those also responsible for administering different levels of education at different levels?
Yeah. Well, of course, if you are following media reports in the last few days, you will see the back and forth on this on this conversation as to whether we are changing the curriculum or we are still retaining the old one, the 6334 system or not. So nobody knows where government is going. Yeah, because the minister, if I'm right, the minister came up almost the second or third day and said, no, we are not changing the system. We are still discussing.
Because we're even talking of 12 years.
So let's wait for our government to come up with whatever they have in mind. But for now, I mean, we are still running the 6334 at the secondary school level, and then of course the 4 years at the university level. Of course, primary school, you have the secondary school, then you have the tertiary. So each organ of government has something to do with each of these levels. I can always talk about Nigerian University Commission. That's actually the regulatory body for universities. Of course, the other parts, you are talking about secondary school, you are talking about primary school, universal basic education. So we have government agencies actually in charge of all these various levels of education system. Yeah.
So that is mostly more of like the local government doing more of primary education, both federal and state having secondary and then
even at that, Gabriel, you see, discover that there's still this controversy, the debate as to whether local government has the capacity to really run the basic education. Yeah, they say we don't have money, we don't have the capacity. So there's still some kind of debate going on, and then but for now, I'm sure that state government is still supporting.
Yes.
In this other various section of the educational system. Yeah.
Yeah. So just to continue that flow of thought, talking of money, budget. So budget is one thing, and you are in the system, you've known all of that, and at least for, let's say, almost my whole adult life, at least since the course likely to, I also been in the humanities. So from secondary school, I've been studying government, economics, and all that. And at least I remember from my secondary school days, even when we had to be writing thesis or assignments and everything. And the argument has always been Nigeria's education budget is not meeting the UNESCO standard of 26%. So why year in year, why is this happening? What is the challenge that is making us not reaching this? Because even with that, not like you said earlier, we have government initiatives like the Universal Basic Education. We also have other national agencies, but yet we are still struggling with attaining that 26% or even getting proper funding for education. So, Prof, what are the challenges and why do you think this is happening?
Well, Gabriel, you will understand that one of the things ASU, that's Academic Staff Union
of Universities.
One of the things that we have been fighting over these years is the fact that government is not funding education sufficiently enough. I mean, a few of us, we've had the privilege of studying abroad, and then we could see what their government, what they are doing in terms of education. As at now, okay, I think like say it was 7.6% of the budget. This year, I think 7.9 or 7.3. I can't remember now.
Almost approaching 8, but
you're talking about from the prescribed 20% or 26%. We have never been able to attain that.
At least not even hit double figures.
So that's the challenge we have. And of course, because we are not in charge of, how budget is allocated, there's no way we can discuss that. Government will tell you, they have a lot of other responsibility, security is there. They need, of course, that's priority, defense, and the other things. So it's until our government until they realize the fact that education is a priority, and we understand the importance of that, and we are willing to invest in that, we'll still be lagging behind in terms of the ability to be able to produce the competent workforce that can really turn this nation around positively. And of course, if you come to the university, you're looking at go to our laboratory, go to the classrooms, and you see the library infrastructure, you see archaic laboratory facilities, and then how do we expect university to be able to compete, or our students to compete with those who went to Cambridge, those who went to other people? Our government must do more. Yeah, we understand, we appreciate what government is doing, of course. We know the challenge, but we are just pleading that they should do more, so that, we can be able to at least move up higher and do what we have to do for our own future leaders who we are training.
And just to expand on this further, so could there not be probably maybe an established model or an established funding model where, we know, if we follow this, because for example, we know we have UBEC, we know we have TET fund for university. The fund, it looks as if it's established, but we know that the sharing formula for those guys, for those agencies, don't look encouraging. So are we not saying, apart from that, maybe could we not have higher...
Sorry to cut in. Let me shock you as to what is going on now. If you are following the news, you would discover that government is even touting the idea of cancelling TET fund.
Yes.
Now,
for the policy, for the tax...
ASU fought for the experiment of TET fund. ASU gave the idea to government to deduct what they call education tax from some of these companies, and they put it together so that they can fund research. And and test fund has done a lot over the years. If you go to some of our institutions, other polytechnic, you will see structure, you'll see, a lot of things that test fund has done. So we commend test fund. We appreciate what government has done through test fund. And we are pleading that should not be cancelled. Test fund, just you are suggesting, it's a good, very brilliant idea to have test fund, to be able to have this money put somewhere, and then test fund can give out for training, give out for infrastructure, give out for conference for grants. So I'm a beneficiary of test fund grants about 4 years ago. That was 2019 or 2020. Okay, to do a project on what we call digital political discourse. So they funded the project, and we completed the project. So without that, it would have been difficult. And you are talking around allocated almost 19 million for us to do a 3 years, 4 years project. So it's a brilliant infrastructure government have put in place, which they must come to support and fund, so that test fund can come to do the good work test fund has been doing over these years.
And that's a very quick. Regarding these current discussions about tax reform and other, is the education sector really represented? Are they making their input known, so that for issues like that you raised about saying third fund, and we saw how the governors had to raise alarm and all that, and they also members of ASU and others had to raise their alarm before the Presidential Committee on Tax Reform and Fiscal Policy later said, they are not removing that. So is the education sector, are they having their input made on this? Because this, once this is made, this is going to have a lasting impact.
I wouldn't know, Gabriel, how far our government has invited, the stakeholders in education to be part of that. I'm sure I don't have information on that. It's most likely they are. But maybe they have been invited now to be able to contribute to that, perhaps. But I agree with you. They should be invited to be able to have their say in the decision that will be taken on their behalf. As the MK Abiola or Blessed Memory will say, you cannot shave a man's head in his absence. So the man must be there before you can shave his head. So if you are going to do it, invite the stakeholders, let them be involved, and then they can have their say, and then we judge you so that we don't war.
Okay, so let's just move forward to another issue. And just recently, there's been the talk of private universities, worth it or not, and then we've now had the federal government announce a freeze or a suspension on the establishment and the registration of private universities, polytechnics, and monotechnics. So why do you think that this has happened? Why do you think that the federal government, through the Minister of Education, has made such a very, very big decision like this?
Thank you, Gabriel, for that question. Now, the point is that if you look at the number of universities we have in Nigeria at the moment, you're talking about over 200, and then you're having almost 58% being private, 57% being private. We appreciate the owners, the proprietors of private university. Good idea. But the question we need to ask ourselves is this: the quality of what's going on there, in terms of capacity of the teachers who are there, lecturers, and the monitoring, aspect of that, monitoring mechanism that we are putting in place to be able to monitor and evaluate the quality of what is coming out from our private university. I won't sit here and be telling you some things. No, I won't legislate on that. But the point is that I share the opinion of government, or the sort of government, on the need to at least freeze that for now. ASU had been canvassing the need to moderate the mushrooming of universities in Nigeria. We are just multiplying more universities without. Now you're talking about lecturers. We are in deficit almost how many percent of doctoral holders in Nigeria? Every year we need about 400 doctoral holders to be able to feed the services in these universities. How many are we producing? How many doctoral students are we producing? And of course, NUC has made it clear. You cannot even employ you as a lecturer now. It's either you are already in your PhD program
Okay.
or you already have a PhD degree, which is brilliant decision. But how many are we having? So we are at some universities, you're talking about lecturers that will go and teach that will teach these children. So I see some imbalance with respect to number of university, the facilities, or the lecturers that are available to be able to feed and service the needs of this university. I think I share that opinion that yes, for now, let's hold on and improve on what we have. Let's improve on what you have.
Okay, but some critics of this decision
yeah.
would say, yeah, why they agree that private universities issue of cost is an issue that needs to be looked on.
Yeah.
So we say, well, private universities provide a quicker quality alternative for people, because they will say when ASU go on strike, our children can quickly go in there, run their 4-5 year program, run it.
Sorry, let me ask you, why do we allow ASU to go on strike? Let's address that. Why do we wait until ASU will go on strike? Why should we? Are we trying to kill the federal universities? Are we trying to keep up public universities? Look, there are some politics going on which I would want to go into.
Yes.
Do you understand? But the point is that if we invest, if we do what is right, university system will be stable. The calendar will run without any problem, any disruption. So the point, let's government do what is right, and then we'll see how we can maintain stable calendar, things will run smoothly, and then there won't be if ASU goes on strike, then my children will go to private university and finish quickly. No, that's not the solution to the problem we're having. It's not. I'm sorry, it's not. The solution is let's address the challenges facing public universities. Yes, let's allow let's allow private universities to also compete with them. But see, my brother, the point is this: I've been in this university for decades, and I know the quality. I sit on private university council, so I know the challenge they face. Public university is still the best for now.
But some want to disagree. This higher education ranking is always released, and then you see, you see one or two private universities.
But when you talk about university ranking, a lot of points also go into that. No, I
not the ones run by Nigerians, too. No,
I agree with Commonwealth is doing fine. But see,
how many of them are meeting that standard of government?
That's the point. So if I'm just talking about Commonwealth University being the best or whatever, only one out of how many? Out of almost 67 private universities, or how many? What are we talking about? So look, let's do what is right. And then university ranking. Now, okay, let me tell you some of the things that things that go into university ranking. You're talking about infrastructure. You're talking about facilities. You're talking about the visibility of the academics online. Sometimes, look, if I tell you how much I buy data to do my own work, sometimes you get to the office, there's no power. I'm sorry. There's from morning till evening, no power. How do you want to be productive? No internet. How do you want to be productive? And you are telling us that private universities are doing better. Why would they do better? The owners are pumping money into all these things that make their lectures visible online, because those are things they look at. If you publish a paper in Covenant, for instance, as a lecturer, that's an amount of money you are paid. I've never been paid 1 kobo for publishing. By God's grace, I'm one of the in my field. Go online and Google my name. You will see the number of citations I have. I've never received penny from Unilag for publishing a single paper. What are we talking about? No motivation, no incentive. What is even my money? No.
That is a topic for another day.
So when we talk about we criticize public university, people don't understand what we go through. You see, some of us are just fortunate because we are benefiting from foreign funding. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I'm an alumni of I belong to Humboldt Foundation, Germany. Mm-hmm. So I receive some funding to do what I'm doing in the digital humanities from Alexander von Humboldt Foundation. I receive funding from Volkswagen. These are foreign entities for goodness sake. Something you can't get to organize a program, you can't get some of this thing done. Rather, our people will prefer to go and invest their money. Anyway, don't let me talk about that. But see, until we begin to value education, until we begin to value research, we can't make progress in this country.
Okay, so just to round up this part. So, is it going to impact students, this suspension now? Because maybe say those who are hoping and saying, oh, I would like to go to this university. Oh, federal government, federal state university.
No, Gabriel, we
will it impact?
We have enough university for now to feed the number of students that are eager to go in. I mean, personally, I feel so. Yeah, I know. I know that. No, I know that JAMB is still, doesn't have enough space for them. Yeah, which that's why private universities are there. Yeah. But now, multiplying universities actually is not the solution to this problem. It's not.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. So let's just shift our attention now to the curriculum relevant. At the start of the program, that was what we talked about. How critics how are they relevant? Critics now would also tell you that, well, compared to what we were saying earlier, compared to what foreign counterparts are doing or foreign universities are doing, the curriculum is outdated, that it needs to be changed. I know there have been one or two talks around government circles saying, okay, whether there should be an evaluation of the curriculums and all that. So how can we kind of bridge this gap? If we are saying curriculum is outdated, how can we bridge this gap to ensure that our curriculum matches that of our foreign counterparts and also ensures that our students are relevant in the job market?
Thank you, Gabriel. I think I must commend AUC for brilliant initiatives over the past few years. Before now, the university system actually had been running what we call BMAS. But now, in the last 2 or 3 years, there is this reform that we call the Core Curriculum Minimum Academic Standard, CCMAS. So we are working on that. Okay, they're coming up with new programs. In fact, now they allow universities to even suggest and propose some courses that are, that's what they call the core curriculum. There are some courses, there's also those that they are within that university. You feel this is what your student will need. So you provide that. So we're working on that. So that's being reviewed. So curriculum is being reviewed and they were coming up with something more modern, more contemporary that can also help our students. But beyond that, again, Gabriel, the point is this. Look, the challenge we're having, these challenges are fundamental. We are talking about not being able to train students that can compete with universities with other graduates outside the country. Why? You are talking about an engineering student that you are asking engineering student to go and to do something, and that guy has never come across that kind of instrument or this tool in his or he or his university days. How do you expect that student to be able to compete with somebody that finished from Harvard, somebody that graduated from from this other university outside the country? So the point is this: let's invest in education. Let's invest in facilities, infrastructure, laboratory, in all the other things that can help this university to be able to produce graduates that can compete. Apart from the curriculum review and the improvement in that, infrastructural investment is key. Of course, encouraging, motivating the people who are in there is very important. Yeah, I mean, people will say a hungry man is an angry man. If every day all I'm thinking about is how do I make ends meet? How do I feed my family? How will I give total attention to what I need to do in the university? Because the money, within 1 week, your salary is gone. So you have to be looking for something else to do.
Because that's what I was going to next. So what about?
Let me give you an example. When I went for my research in Germany, it's not even salary. My allowance every month was 3 times the salary I was receiving in Nigeria. 3 times.
Whoa, and that's just allowance.
That's also what are we talking about? So we are talking about we need to do more for this system. Okay. And you'll be so. Look, Nigerians are brilliant. Now, the other question we need to address is why do we have Nigerians who will leave the shores of this country and they go abroad and they do excellently? Okay. We have the potential. We have the capacity. We can do it. Give us the environment. In fact, a friend of mine used to say that our environment is hostile. It's hostile to research. It's hostile to our development. So there's no way we can achieve more. Or we can do like what they're achieving over there without the environment being congenial, being friendly, being supportive. I'm sorry.
Okay, well, that's like a litany of challenges.
I'm telling you, no, there are many. There are many.
Okay, just as we begin to wrap up
Yeah.
on this episode of the podcast.
Yeah.
So to now link it back, we have talked about why curriculum relevance is important,
Yeah.
and what is also stalling a bit of it.
Yeah.
So, but in terms of that now, in terms of the universities now, so what are the universities doing in terms of ensuring that students that pass through them don't just pass through the school, but they are fit for purpose to the society, especially the corporate world? So in terms of, we are looking at it now, and thankfully, like the center you're heading, digital humanities, just like you said now, looking at the application of technology into it. It's not just about understanding the art, not just understanding history, understanding government, and all that, understanding languages.
Absolutely.
But how do you now use technology to encompass what we are doing as a person? So what are the universities like doing to ensure that, well, students don't just pass through school, but they get these necessary skills? Because we want to know what are those skills that private entities are really looking for out now in graduate, and how are universities trying to ensure that those things are just done through them rather than just purely academics or theoretical explanation?
Well, thank you, Gabriel. Universities are doing their best. Universities are doing their best. But you can only do your best within the capacity, within what you have. There's no magic. There's no magic you can perform. So the point is that we are doing our best. Again, as you rightly alluded to, that's why, for example, University of Lagos has encouraged me. We have started this Digital Humanities Center, which is, attracting a lot of interest. We're empowering our students not just to become a graduate of history or English or literature, but now you have tech skills that can make you relevant and employable outside there. And we're organizing, conferences, so like the one we have in March, digital entrepreneurship workshop for 1 week. These are things we are doing. We are thinking, we are planning, we are working to ensure that we help. These are our children as well. They are children. So we have children there. I have my boy is in final year engineering lab. So we have children there. So we are doing our best to ensure that we give our best, but we need more help. Let them create the environment so that we can do more, and they'll be surprised what Nigerian university can achieve.
So you feel that universities can still produce competent graduates that the corporate sector would properly say, they're satisfied with that.
Absolutely. We have the capacity, we can do it.
Oh, okay. On this note, thank you very much, Professor Tunde Davis, for joining us on this episode of the podcast. It's been very enlightening.
Thank you.
I can always say to you, at least, as I said earlier at the beginning of the show, the bias. I'm also a graduate of University of Lagos. So, yes, I'm also delighted or glad when I converse with lecturers and to see the input and the impact they make on society and students in particular. So thank you once again, Prof.
Yeah, thank you, viewers. So, thank you.
So as we wrap up this episode of the podcast, it's very clear and evident that Nigerian education system needs to be reformed. And not just reformed for reforming sake, but reformed to ensure that our students in this 21st century can become very useful to the corporate world and to everything, the society at large. So it's therefore a clarion call to everybody, policymakers, educationists, private organizations, and even parents themselves, everybody, that we all need to come together, join hands to ensure that the education system is well-purposed. Because if it's not well-purposed, even if you say children are leaders of tomorrow, they will not be able to produce or do anything. So on this note, we say thank you very much for watching this episode of the podcast. For more information on the education system and then all other issues on the economy, to get a detailed assessment of what is happening in the economy, please kindly visit our website, www.precisepoint.net. You can also visit our social media handles, which will be rolling on the screen now, and then you'll also get through various specialized industry reports that you need that can help you and your business to grow forward. Until next time, this is Gabriel Talker saying thank you for watching.